Alright, so I guess this video is not going to have a real structured format outside of just talking about the topic alone, and that relates to what should be the future of live service games and content going forward. As we see, there is quite a bit of live service games failing, whether it's Concord, whether it was the attempt that was made by Square Enix with, I think that game was called Babylon's Fall. We see a few online titles, online only fucking live service content failing right now and not going so great. You have a couple of gems, you have a couple of rare examples like Marvel Rivals having a lot of numbers, but I guess we'll see how that game pans out in December. And here's what I think should be done going forward. It is no secret that I personally believe the issue here is basically companies trying to ride the coattails of something like Fortnite, Overwatch, COD, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Trying to ride the coattails of what is already successful and this not working. What companies want to do is they want to grasp onto what is essentially something that is continuous revenue, and they want to imitate, and sometimes you can't imitate the original no matter what you do in this case, especially live service content. Everyone can't be Fortnite, let's be honest, let's keep it real. Everyone will not strike that success in a bottle, but they want to, and they try, and they will attempt. You can't go back into 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. You can't go back and say, I want to now create a battle royale shooter and hope that it will be just as successful as something like Fortnite. You can't do that anymore. PUBG, you can't do that anymore. Why? Because now with the ever-changing landscape of gaming, minds evolve into wanting something different, and most gamers that are playing COD, Halo, Overwatch, Fortnite, they are stuck playing those games. I do think there is a vast laziness for imitation, which is why these developers are not striking gold in being a hero shooter or being a battle royale shooter, because it's already been done. Now, in Sony's case, this is kind of funny because when they decided to go on this live service stint, the issue is they had unique games they could have made into live service games, and they probably would have been interesting concepts to be successful. There was the Insomniac Spider-Man Great Web. What game is like that on the market where you're playing as other Spider-Men, spider people in the open world, beating up symbiotes, beating up like super power bad guys, and having fun with it? Unique concept, not seeing the light of day. It was scrapped. Then I guess you could say there's the other Sony multiplayers that are kind of dead right now. SOCOM, Killzone is not coming back. Okay, I think Killzone is like cool and unique enough. A heavy shooter, why can't we have that? Why can't we have a tactical third-person shooter like SOCOM, where you're going around and you're busting people and you're going around and you're like trying to just destroy guerrilla warfare? Like, why can't we have this being utilized? A Twisted Metal game in 2024. Why can't we have that? Oh wait, I heard that was canceled as well. You see, what is happening here is that Sony is trying to bank on what the market is already doing when they have unique IPs that they could utilize. I mean, even Factions 2 from Naughty Dog that probably would have been successful because we never had a multiplayer with a high tier story with things like survival, and you're going around in a big open landscape fighting clickers, doing all that shit. That's a lot more unique than a fucking battle royale shooter, but we don't have that either because Naughty Dog said fuck that. We don't want to be a live service studio. We're canning the whole project. Money lost here. This is not like something where it's, yo, you could pass it off in R&D. They had research and development on this project and it's gone. This shit would have slapped more than the day before. Oh, the day before. What a fucking colossal failure of an asset flip that game was. But I'm sure Factions Part 2 would have done infinitely better than the scam before. What about a co-op experience that's like a platformer, maybe a Little Big Planet, Astrobot 2, co-op adventure, have people buy into that? What happened to tacked on multiplayer, where you're not spending like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars onto a multiplayer venture where you're trying to emulate and ride lightning in a bottle and you're not capturing that? Why not go back to basics where multiplayer was an add-on for a good single player story? And Sony, you guys are very good in making single player content. You could tack on the multiplayer, try to find some life, and then maybe if you want to pull your whole microtransaction menace, you could put that into the game itself. I don't see what the problem is. At least people have a single player story they can always go back to, relive, experience, and have that extra replay value. This is why I think Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, and Uncharted 4 was a perfect package. You got a nice long story and you got multiplayer and co-op on top of that. Like, I think we need to just evaluate the content package here and realize what we're doing unique, what we want to do, what we want to add into the game. People like co-op, people like multiplayer, tack on multiplayer, not spending way too much, see if it works out well. If it works out well, great. If it doesn't, we'll find a way, as opposed to, well, just shuttering the studio and putting tons of people out on the street, because that's not good either. I thoroughly believe Sony and other studios have to figure out their unique voice in a multiplayer void where there's a lot of the same game running around. I think that finding value in a single player bundled in with a tacked on multiplayer is probably the way to go, and try to make it the best that you can, like I said, because when you think about always online multiplayer, and when the servers die, then your disc is basically useless. It is a softball. It is something you could throw around, probably break it on the wall, because if the servers die, the game dies. What other value are you putting into the game? Are you putting in offline modes? Maybe offline co-op? Where is all of this stuff? That's the main thing that I'm kind of asking about, because longevity really matters. I believe that making a good title is based on the foundation for live service for this. What is the longevity of the title? Will there be any offline modes? Are you putting in roadmaps? People do want constant updates about these games, new content, etc. When there's no new content updates and new games come out, people just go and play new multiplayer games, and then that game dies out. So you have to keep players at least invested and updated, and try to make it best you can with that roadmap. New maps, new modes, new characters, new skins, assuming if that multiplayer is a success. You can put all that in and people will be there if they like it enough. We saw that success with Helldivers, right? Well, initially at first, because now people are just really waiting for the content, and then they got real mad about that PlayStation login on PC, so that kind of stirred some bridges just a little bit. All right, Sony. So yeah, you really have to think about the longevity, the content package, the replay value, the gameplay first and foremost, if it's fun to play, of course, and reevaluate spending millions upon millions for games that are not gonna catch a fire. I don't think that Fair Games is going to catch a fire in this industry for live service, especially if that game does nothing unique. Maybe if, and I'm saying if, it turns out to be an interesting bank heist game where you're going around robbing shit, because I mean Payday 3 did not strike the landing when it launched, and it launched like shit. But you could take a bank heist game and maybe do something with it. Who knows? That's a lot more interesting than your average hero shooter in the market for 2024. But I thoroughly believe longevity, good gameplay, replay value, and trying to resonate with updates, roadmaps, player feedback, because that's important. I mean, not all players are going to be 100% correct, but at least fixing bugs and all that shit means you're paying attention. And just making sure that your game can stand out amongst the rest, and that's all we ask for. All those ideas I just pitched could be interesting multiplayer live service ventures if done correctly. That's the main thing, correctly. And I do believe that, yes, maybe people should experiment with some indie multiplayers, seeing if they stick, or some AA, but you know, of course, they're not gonna gun for that because they want the maximized bottom dollar. This is why stuff like, I mean, COD on Game Pass, I'm sure is doing some mega numbers for Microsoft right now. I'm sure, I'm positive, because they have great multiplayer service. This is why I like Xbox a lot more than PlayStation for multiplayer. They got Gears, they got Halo, they got COD, and all of those I kind of enjoy playing back to back. Well, sometimes maybe COD, because I took my COD sabbatical after Modern Warfare 2019 and I played Cold War, and I thought that was ass. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was ass, but still, sometimes I enjoy playing COD. I might play Black Ops 6 for sure, but they have the multiplayer stuff that I need with the big IPs, and I think you need to do this right. Experiment, maybe smaller scale, see what happens, make a great story. I would go for Twisted Metal Black 2. Great, dark, gritty story, great gameplay, just the concepts itself. I mean, you could harken back to some nostalgia and see if you could do something with that. Fuck, I mean, we hear some rumors of Insomniac working on other multiplayer games, focusing on a possible mutant team. That could be great, right? That's a ingenious idea that we have to wait for like 2030, but I'm sure when that comes out from Insomniac and Marvel, that's gonna be excellent, right? Sony has the capability to do this. It's just their recent ventures into live service hasn't gone too great, and I thought Concord was a relatively okay game from what I played, but it had no chance in the market of oversaturated hero shooters and battle royale shooters and everything, because people are just gonna play those titles. Sony, you have the IPs, it's time to utilize them and strive forward for that creativity, and maybe, just maybe, you will have your big continuous moneymaker over time. But this is what I think would fix a lot of titles going into either live service or giving companies advice. You need to take a new approach. That's the only way you're going to do this. And like I said, content packages are very, very important. Until then, I am Renegade Operative. I am signing out. What do you guys think of the video itself and my sort of spiel talking about live service games and what needs to be done in the future going forward to be successful? Share your ideas and thoughts as to what you think is needed for a successful live service multiplayer venture and what Sony could do to fix their own live service multiplayer ventures. I really want to hear your opinions in the comment section below. As I said, going back to cool ideas, dude, a fucking Infamous multiplayer, a fucking goddamn another attempt at a God of War multiplayer. Oh my god, that was slap. We don't have many gladiator style fighting games where you're like beating the shit out of someone, ripping their heads off in an arena and fucking signaling that shit as a trophy. I think I need another God of War style multiplayer that fucking rocks. That's what I need right now. That's what I'm getting hyped up for right now. Maybe a survival horror multiplayer for Sony. That's something unique for them, right? That could be done. I mean, I'm just handing you the plate with food on it. Take the golden platter, baby. See you guys next time for real. Later. Also, PS, I'm not going to celebrate Firewalk Studios losing their jobs because that is disgusting, in my opinion. Sony mismanaged the studio, and if they continue to mismanage their multiplayer assets and studios, they will continue to pay the price. That's it.